None of the showings are new, said our friend Saria. They've been the same for the past 2 months. Saturday night, again, the same conversation as the week before. It's better than the other 2 choices, Em says. It is, isn't it? She glances over at me, waiting for my opinion. I nod. The choices are the same as usual. Game center, showings, music. It's been less than a week since grandfather's death, and I feel strange. He's gone, and I know that there are stolen words inside my compact. I feel strange to know something others don't, and to have something I shouldn't. So another vote from Cassia for the showing, Em says, keeping track. She winds a strand of black hair around her finger. Looks at Xander. What about you? I'm sure Xander wants to go back to the game center, but I don't. Our last excursion there didn't end so well. What with my stepping on the tablets and having to meet with an official. Xander knows what I'm thinking. It wasn't your fault, he says. You weren't the one who dropped them. It's not as though they cited you or anything. I know, but still. We don't really discuss the music. Most youth aren't crazy about sitting with a few other people in a hall listening to the 100 songs pipe in some other place, or maybe even some other time. I don't think I've ever heard of any work position related to music. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe songs only need to be sung once, recorded and passed along. No, let's do the showing, Xander says. You know that one about the society? With the aerial views? I haven't seen that one yet, Kai Markingham says behind me. Kai, I turn and look at him. Our eyes meeting for the first time since the night I stepped on the tablets. I haven't seen him since then. I should say I haven't seen him in person. All week long his face has appeared in my mind the way it appeared on the screen, surprising me with the clarity and the disappearing suddenly, leaving me wondering what it means, why I keep thinking of him instead of moving on. Perhaps it's because of what grandfather said at the end, by telling me it was all right to wonder. Somehow I thought I don't think he meant Kai. I think it might be something bigger, something to do with the poetry. That settles it then. We'll go watch that one, Saria says. How could you miss an entire showing? Pepper questions. It's a good one. We never miss showings when they're new. This one has been around several months, which means there should have been plenty of opportunities for Kai to see it. Didn't you go with us when we went? No, Kai says. I worked late that night, I think. His tone is mild, but there it is. And always has been. Something a little deeper and more resonant about his voice. It has a slightly different chime than most voices. It's the kind of thing that you forget until you hear it again and remember, oh yes, his voice has music. We all fell silent, as we always do when Kai talks about his work. We don't know what to say to him when he mentions it. I know now that he probably wasn't surprised with his assignment in the nutrition disposal center. He always known he was an aberration. He's been walking around with secrets for much longer than I have. But the society wants him to keep his secrets. I don't know what they would do if they found out about mine. Kai looks away from Piper and back at me, and it occurs to me that I've been wrong about his eyes. I thought they were brown, but I see now that they're dark blue, brought out by the color of his plainclothes. Blue is the most common eye color in the Aurea Providence, but there's something different about his eyes, and I'm not sure what it is. More depth? I wonder what he sees when he looks at me. It seems to have depth to me. Do I seem shallow and transparent to him? I wish I had a microcard about Kai, I think. Maybe since I didn't really need one about Alexander, I could ask for another one instead. The thought makes me smile. Kai still looks at me and wonders for a moment if he is going to ask me what I'm thinking about, but of course he doesn't. He doesn't learn by asking questions. He is an aberration from the outer providence, and yet he has managed to blend in here and learn by watching. So I take my cue from him, and I ask no questions and I keep my secrets. When we sit down in the theater, Piper goes in first, then Sarah, then Em, then Alexander, then me, and last of all, Kai. The big screen hasn't rolled down, and the lights aren't dim yet, so we have a few minutes to talk. Are you all alright? Alexander asked me quietly, his words a whisper in my ear. It's not the tablets, is it? Is it your grandfather? He knows me so well. Yes, I say, and he reaches for my hand, gives it a squeeze. It's strange to me how our old childhood gestures come back. One that dropped away was we stayed friends but grew older. Holding his hand still feels like friendship, like something I've known for years, but also different. Now it means more. Now it means a match. Alexander waits to see if I have more to say, but I don't. I can't tell Alexander about Kai because Kai is sitting right next to me. I think I can tell Alexander about the paper because this place is too crowded. There are reasons I gave myself for not confiding in Alexander as I usually do. They do not feel as true as they should. Em says something to Alexander and he turns to answer. I stare straight ahead for a moment, thinking about how strange it is that I've started keeping secrets from Alexander just as we have been matched. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to spend Saturday nights with you all, Kai says. I glance over at him as the lights begin to dim, softening his face and somehow lessening the space between us. His next words hold a trace of bitterness, only a trace. But more than I've ever heard from him. Having my vacation keeps me busy. I'm glad you don't seem to mind. It's no trouble, I say. We're your friends. But even as I say it, I wonder if we are. I don't know him the way I know the others. Friends, Kai says the word softly. I wonder if he's thinking of the friends he must have on the outer providence. The theater goes dark. I know without looking that Kai isn't turned towards me anymore, and that Alexander is. I look forward straight into the black. I always enjoy these few seconds in the theater before the showing, when it's all dark and I'm waiting. I always feel a drop in my stomach and wonder if the lights of the showing come on. I might find myself completely alone or wondering if the lights won't come up at all. I feel like I can't be sure. I'm not the first moment. I don't know why I like it. But of course the lights come on and the screen showing begins and I'm not alone. Xander sits on one side of me, Kai on the other. And in front of me, the screen shows the beginning of the society. The cinematography is excellent, swooping low across the blue ocean, the green of the coast, over snow-crowned mountains, and on into the golden field of the farmlands. Over the white dome of our very own city hall, the audience cheers when it comes into view. Across more rolling green and gold towards the city, and another, in each province, the society people are likely cheering as they see their city, even if they have seen this showing before. When you see our society like this, it's hard not to feel proud, which of course is the point. Kai takes a deep breath and I glance over at him. What I see surprised me. His eyes were wide and he has forgotten to keep his face still and calm. Instead, it's alright to wonder. It seems to think that he's really flying. He doesn't even notice me watching. After the soaring beginning, however, the showing is basic. We go through how things used to be before the society came into beginning, before everything worked according to statistics and predictions. Kai's face settled back into its usual smooth expression. I keep sneaking glances over during the different parts of the showing to see if he's reacting again, but he's not. I get to the part with the implementation of matching. Xander turns to look at me. In a pale light from the screen, I see him smiling and I smile back. Xander hands tight on mine and I forget about Kai. Until the end. At the end of the showing, takes us back on how things were before the society. How things would be again if the society fell. I don't know what set they use for this, but it's also very laughable. They have gone over the top with dramatic barren red lines and shrubby little houses. A few sullen, hard, sad-looking actors walking around the dangerous, almost empty streets. Then, as if out of nowhere, sinister black aircraft appear in the sky and people run screaming away. The anthem of the society plays in the background, ornate high notes crying across the strong bass line that pounds the feelings home. The scene is overdone. It's ludicrous, especially after the quiet scene at Grandfather's that I witnessed on Sunday. This isn't what death looks like. One of the actors falls to the ground dramatically. Garish red blood stains cover his clothes. I hear Xander give a little snort of laughter next to me, and I know that he feels the same way as I do. Feeling bad that I've ignored Kai for so long, I turn to him to share the joke. He is crying, without a sound. Tears slip down his cheek, and he brushes it away so quickly I almost don't know it was there. But it was. It was. And now another tear gone as quickly as the first. His eyes are so full I wonder how he can see. But he does not look away from the screen. I'm not used to seeing someone suffer. I turn away. When the movie ends, reprising and sweeping travelong from the beginning, Kai takes a deep breath and I can tell that it aches. I don't glance over at him again until the lights come back on in the theater. When they do, he is calm, composed, and back to the Kai I know, or the one I thought I knew. No one else had just noticed. Kai does not know that I have seen him. I say nothing, I ask no questions, I turn away. This is who I am, but not who Grandfather thought you could be. The thought comes to my mind like a sideways glance, like a flash of blue next to me. Kai is watching me, waiting for me to meet his gaze. I wait one moment too long before I turn back. When I do, Kai is not looking at me anymore, if he ever was.